One of the most popular video requests I get is for high protein vegan recipes, and so this week I wanted to bring you along for what I eat in a few days as a vegan, eating some of my favorite high protein recipes. This video is also very kindly sponsored by my friends at Squarespace. Good morning, my beautiful friends, and welcome back to another video. I hope you've been keeping so very well. I'm going to bring you along for the next few days and show you what I'm eating as a vegan, but I really wanted to focus over these next few days on sharing some delicious recipes with you that have a really good source of protein. On a personal level, I am really trying to make sure I'm having a great source of protein in every meal at the moment, and so I thought this would be a fun way for me to share some recipes that I have been really loving and some really quick and easy ways to have a great source of protein in your vegan meals. So I hope you're going to enjoy. I'm about to get into making some breakfast, and honestly this is one of my favorite easy breakfasts at the moment that I find really delicious and keeps me really full for a long time, which I absolutely love. So yeah, let's get into making breakfast and then we'll get into the rest of the next few days of some really good food that is vegan and high in protein. Okay, so for breakfast I'm starting with this barbecue tempeh that has become such a staple for me. I have been eating it so regularly, and one of my favorite ways is to very simply cut it up and put it into the air fryer to crisp up for about 10 minutes. It's so quick and so easy and is perfect served on some toast. So I toasted one piece of bread, and then on here I put some of this lemon and dill cashew cheese that I love so much, and then I pile on that delicious crispy barbecue tempeh. I also added on some hemp seeds for a little bit of extra protein, and it was a really quick and easy vegan breakfast. Then I had my morning snack, which was an iced cacao, but something I've been loving lately as I try and increase the protein in my diet is adding in some protein powder with my iced cacao, and also having this on soy milk as well, as it is higher in protein also. I love this so much, and again it's really quick and easy and also really delicious, which of course is very important. For lunch, I am starting by putting some walnuts into my Vitamix and blitzing that into a fine crumb. Then I'm setting that to the side whilst I cut up half of a brown onion. I'm going to dice this finely, and then I'm going to transfer this into a small saucepan with some olive oil and begin to fry this up. After a few minutes, I'm adding in some taco seasoning and continuing to fry before adding in those ground walnuts and of course continuing to fry. After that, I'm then adding in a little bit of water to thin this out and get this like mince-like texture that we are going for, before I add in some tomato paste for a bit of extra flavor, as well as some brown lentils and some liquid smoke. So I mix this all together on a medium heat before removing it and prepping the rest of my meal. I am slicing up some purple cabbage into little chunks. Then I'm also cutting up some fresh lettuce, and I'm going to mix these together roughly before setting to the side. Then I'm going to fry up some tortillas in some oil so that we're going to get some nice crispy tostadas. Now if you don't want to fry these, you can definitely just have them as normal tacos. I just felt like doing something a little bit different. Onto these I'm going to put some vegan sour cream as well as that fresh salad mix, and then I'm piling on this lentil and walnut mince, which is such a staple for me, and topping with some pickled onions for a fresh, delicious, hearty lunch. And honestly, these are one of my favorites. I feel like you've seen me make them many times before because they are just that good. For dinner, I'm once again making a real staple for us in our household and a really quick and easy way to have a high protein meal. I'm starting by cutting up some onion and some garlic, and then also slicing some celery as well as some carrot. If you want these to be really fine, you could definitely blitz them in a food processor. It may be easier for you. Then into my pot, I'm adding in some oil as well as all of those chopped veggies, and I'm beginning to fry that up on medium heat. Whilst that continues to fry up, I'm putting some textured vegetable protein as well as some veggie stock powder and some boiling water into a bowl and leaving that to set and soak up the flavor before adding in some tomato paste as well as passata and some water in with the saucepan. Then I am adding in a little bit of extra veggie stock powder as well as some coconut sugar and nutritional yeast to the sauce before adding in that textured vegetable protein, which serves as like a mince substitute and also is very, very high in protein because it's made with soy. Of course, I need to cook some pasta, so I'm just putting some pasta on to boil, and if you wanted to make this even higher in protein, you could use one of the protein pastas that you can get from the supermarket here in Australia. So I'm serving this up, a big bowl with some nutritional yeast and some hemp seeds on top, and it was a hearty and delicious dinner. Now, when it came to breakfast the next morning, I wanted to make my favorite protein oats that I've just been loving so much lately. I start with some soy milk and some apple cider vinegar, as well as some soy yogurt, and I mix this together. I then also add in some oats, protein powder, some cacao powder and baking powder, and I mix this together to form a nice batter. Then I'm going to put this in the oven to bake, and whilst it's baking, I'm mixing together some coconut sugar and some cacao powder in a separate bowl, and then I am removing these baked oats from the oven. I'm going to poke a hole in the top, and then I'm going to sprinkle on some of that cacao and coconut sugar mixture, pour over some boiling water, and then I am going to put this in the fridge to set for about an hour. Once it's cooled down and set nicely, I am spreading some extra soy yogurt on top, and then I'm sprinkling with the leftover cacao and coconut sugar mixture before enjoying this very much. So honestly, this is just like such a staple and such a favorite for me lately. I love it so much, and I think that you will as well. So that was a very delicious start to the day. I honestly love those baked oats so much, and I've been eating them on repeat lately because they're so easy, they're really great for meal prep, and yeah, overall they're just like so delicious. I'm about to get into making lunch, but before I do, I wanted to say a big thank you to my friends at Squarespace for very kindly sponsoring this video. My website, amandadux.com, I have been hosting and designing with Squarespace for almost 5 years now, and I love Squarespace as a platform so much. When I was first thinking about wanting to start a website to be able to have recipes and ebooks and things like that on, it was honestly one of those things that I kept procrastinating doing because I thought that it was going to be so difficult to do, and then I found Squarespace and it was literally so easy and seamless and makes me really enjoy hosting a website. It's not something that I feel like takes me a lot of time to do or to use, but I feel like provides great benefit for me as well as my audience, and that's what I really love about it. Honestly, one of my favorite features with Squarespace are the blogging features that they have. Obviously, I use the blogging features for recipes, but you can use them for many other things, and I love the way I'm able to categorize them so easily and just make them a lot more easily accessible for you if you're looking for a specific recipe or anything like that. And yeah, honestly, Squarespace just works for me and has worked for me for many years, so it's always something that I recommend to anyone who may be looking to host or design their own website. If you are one of those people, you can head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, you can go to squarespace.com/amandadux, and you can use my code, which is amandadux. That will get you 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. Okay, let's get into making some lunch. I'm gonna make a shredded barbecue tofu sandwich, which is gonna be really delicious, and yeah, I'm really excited. Let's get into it. Okay, so to make this, I am starting by shredding my firm tofu. You definitely want to make sure it's a firm tofu to do this, and I just used a grater. Then into a bowl, I'm putting some olive oil as well as soy sauce and barbecue sauce and mixing that together well before adding in that shredded tofu. I'm going to mix this together to ensure all of the tofu is nice and well coated, and once it is all nice and well coated, I'm going to transfer this onto a baking tray. I'm going to spread it out nice and evenly, and then put this in the oven to bake for about 20 to 30 minutes depending on how crispy you would like it. Whilst that is cooking away, I am slicing up some red cabbage. I am then also going to be cutting up some spinach, and I am going to make almost like a slaw kind of situation. I just feel like this makes it a really good way to hold the fresh ingredients together and add a little bit of an extra flavor. So I use some vegan mayonnaise to do that, and then I am going to slice open my bread roll that we're going to serve this on. So onto the base, I am putting some of that cabbage and spinach mixture. Then I'm going to pile on that crispy shredded barbecue tofu, and then I'm also going to smash some avocado onto here. Also adding a little bit of salt and pepper on with the avocado just for a bit of extra flavor. And then that is our very simple sandwich. Really quick and easy to make, and also just like such a fun working from home lunch, I find. Super delicious, and yeah, I hope that you will love this one as much as I do. When it came to dinner, I started by putting my apron on for dinner tonight. This is my cute new apron that I love so much. I am tearing up some firm tofu, and then I'm putting this into a bowl with some vegan chicken stock powder and some corn flour, and I am tossing this together well. I'm then transferring this onto a baking tray and drizzling with some oil before putting it in the oven to get nice and crispy. Whilst that crisped up, I continued with the rest of the dish. So I started by slicing some carrot as well as some zucchini. Then I'm also cutting up some broccoli as well as some pak choy. You can definitely change whichever stir fry veggies you really like to have in a noodle stir fry, because that is exactly what we're making. So into my pot, I am adding in a little bit of oil before adding in those veggies and beginning to fry those up. Whilst they're frying up, I am also going to put a pot of water on to boil, and once it is boiling and ready to go, I'm adding in some ramen noodles as well as some frozen edamame to defrost in said boiling water. I'm going to add this crispy tofu in with the veggies as well as some soy sauce, rice wine vinegar and some sesame oil as well as some sesame seeds, and continue frying this on a low to medium heat. Then I of course need to add in those noodles and edamame and mix that together well, ensuring the sauce is nice and evenly dispersed before removing this from the heat. I love a noodle stir fry so much because you can really pack it with goodness, and of course it tastes so delicious, and it's also a really quick and easy one to make, which makes it the perfect weeknight dinner in my humble opinion. So for breakfast the next morning, I'm starting by putting some vegan butter into my saucepan as well as crumbling in some firm tofu. You may have already guessed, but we're making a tofu scramble, and I know this is like a classic high protein vegan recipe, but there's a reason it's a classic, and it's because it's so good. So I added in some veggie stock powder as well as some nutritional yeast, and then I'm also adding in some store-bought vegan pesto as well as some hemp seeds. I really like adding different flavors to my tofu scramble. It keeps it fun and interesting, and I also added in some spinach here for some extra goodness. This needs to cook down for about 10 minutes to soak up all the flavor, and then I remove it and get into what I am going to serve this with. So I've got a bagel that I'm going to put into the toaster, and once it's all nice and well toasted, we are going to serve this up. So I'm piling on this pesto scramble, and then I'm going to enjoy this very much so. It's also a great one to prep in advance so that you can just heat it up and have it on toast in the morning for an easy high protein brekkie. I'm back with the tempeh for lunch today. This is a different one though. It is a soy tempeh that I got from the health food store, and I'm definitely an advocate for getting your tempeh from a health food store rather than the supermarket. It tends to be a bit better quality and more delicious. Once I had cut this into cubes, I put it into a bowl with some teriyaki sauce as well as some soy sauce, and I tossed this together until it was really nice and well coated. Then I'm going to transfer this into my saucepan, and I'm going to leave this to fry up for about 15 minutes, stirring it occasionally. I then sliced up some broccoli into florets that I'm going to use in this lunch as well, and then into a pot of boiling water I am going to put said broccoli as well as some frozen edamame, which is another great source of protein. So I am going to braise that until it is nice and well cooked, and I'm going to serve this in a bowl with some brown rice as well as this crispy teriyaki tempeh, and then a creamy mayo and lime sauce on top, as well as some sesame seeds for a little bit of extra decoration. And again, this is a really simple lunch, one that you can whip up pretty quickly and also meal prep in advance. I honestly think I might have saved the best for last with this dinner. I am starting by slicing up some broccolini as well as some pumpkin. You want the pumpkin to be in nice small cubes, and the broccolini can be a bit bigger if you would like to. I'm going to put both of these into a bowl, then drizzled with some olive oil as well as salt and some pepper, and I'm going to toss this together to ensure everything is nice and evenly coated before transferring it onto a baking tray. I am also tearing up some tempeh and crumbling this into a little bowl. This is one of my favorite ways to make tempeh lately actually. I'm adding in some barbecue sauce as well as soy sauce and liquid smoke, and mixing this all together together well. Then I'm going to transfer this also on to the baking tray. So we're piling on this pumpkin and broccolini as well as the barbecue tempeh, spreading it out nice and evenly, and then I'm going to put this in the oven to bake. The pumpkin will need to bake for a little longer than the other two. Then into my saucepan I am putting some olive oil as well as some brown onion that I had diced up. I'm also adding in some white miso paste and I'm mixing that together. Then I'm adding in some butter beans that I had drained and rinsed before adding in some nutritional yeast and some veggie stock powder and continuing to mix that together. Then I'm going to add in some plant-based cream to turn these into a simple creamy miso butter beans, which is going to be the base of our dinner tonight. So I'm piling those butter beans into my bowl, then topping with that crumbled tempeh as well as the crispy broccolini and the roasted pumpkin, and then I am going to enjoy this dinner very, very much so. Okay, so that brings us to the end of what I eat in a few days as a vegan, and therefore brings us to the end of my last video for the year. I'm going to take a couple of weeks off for the summer and the festive season, and I wanted to say a big thank you for being here and supporting my channel this year. You've continued to help my channel grow more, and also honestly just been such like a pillar of support for me through one of the most challenging years, actually probably the most challenging year of my life. I definitely don't take for granted the fact that I get to do a job that I love, and that wouldn't be possible without you being here and watching my videos and supporting me. So thank you so very much for doing so, and I hope that you enjoyed the delicious vegan food that I brought to you this year. I'm really looking forward to the new year and some goals I have with my channel and content that I'm excited to bring you, so I hope that you will stick around. And I'm also wishing all of you a beautiful festive season, however you choose to celebrate, whether you choose to celebrate or not. I am sending you love and well wishes for 2025, and yeah, I look forward to seeing you in a new video then. Thank you for being here. Have a beautiful day and a beautiful couple of weeks, and I will see you soon. Bye.